at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday night again. You know what that means, don't you? It's time to join Mike and Christy for another episode of Where's My Sage? A show hosted by a psychic medium and a guy on the quest to find Bigfoot. Who would have thought? Together, they will take you on all sorts of adventures, and not with lots of different people. Christy even gives readings. It's time to sit back, get up and get ready. You can't sample the universe sitting down. Your hosts are waiting. Come on, let's go!
And I already did it tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike, and welcome to Where's My Sage? I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Christy London. How are you this evening, Christy? You're muted. Ha! That's one for you.
You know what? I don't want to hear it. I have a lot of catching up to do to you, so whatever.
Yeah, well, it's better to be muted most of the time anyway. So
just saying. Well, yeah, but I'm doing your job by unmuting me, so just saying.
Yeah,
usually that's your thing.
Yeah, it's craziness here. So
yeah, I'm doing good though. How about you?
Hello, Penny. I'm doing. I've been working crazy hours this week, so
yes,
I'm not there. We ended up in the woods the other night to do some research. So hi, Penny, and hi, Colette, and hi, Carrie.
Hi.
And hi, Janine. Yeah, it was crazy.
Hey, it's Jeannie. Get it right.
I'm sorry.
Her mom, too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary Grace.
Hi.
So, yeah, I mean, I got out with the old research team, and we went chasing salamanders and Bigfoot at the same time. So,
literally or figuratively? Just asking for a friend.
We're both kind of old. So, yeah, we'll go with both kind of old. Yeah.
Just kidding. I love you, Paul.
I don't know if he's listening or not. So we'll get a couple more hellos in there. Hello,
hi.
Denise. Hi, Linda.
Hi, girls. Ladies and gents.
Lori.
Guys and gals.
She did that. And hi, Robert. Oh, we're going good. We got Europe. We've got Australia. Wow. Everybody going tonight.
You guys rock.
Folks from down the street. Hey, Francisca, I can't even hear myself talk tonight. So yeah, it's just been crazy. Got a sighting within a couple of miles of me that we're in the middle of working on. It's just been nuts. Yep. And then trying to get prepped up for this weekend. That's a craziness. Wow,
that's insane.
So yeah. Somebody's blowing up my phone on the other side. So, and unfortunately, it keeps blocking my other little doohickey, so I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that problem. Hi, Brianna.
Hi, Brianna. My new little, I don't know, you might be out soon, Mike. Hi, Christina.
Yep.
You might be out soon. Bree's like, aching to get your spot here. She's like inching and nudging her way in now.
Yep. So, looking for something here and I can't find. So, what else has been going on with you? New and exciting.
Well, I mean, I can, had a project of my own that I'm working on. And, it's been clipped here and there. So there's been some teasers put out there. So I can say, we've been visiting different locations for, the new project show that I'm a part of now. And, so we did some filming again this past weekend, which was awesome and fun and crazy. And
hi, Teddy.
Yeah. Hi, Teddy.
Oh. Yep. And then this weekend we've got the premiere of On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Journey.
You have a huge weekend.
Monster, so
yes.
Yeah. We gotta get out to Ohio.
Yeah.
Now the Jeep's working and the little car's working. I can pick a car and just get out to Ohio. So
that's always good.
So the movie premieres this weekend, folks. If you're in Canton, Ohio, Palace Theater Saturday nights, 1,200 seat theater. It's an old classic theater. I actually looked it up this morning.
I'm excited.
It looks like a really cool place. So
it's going to be awesome. And but you got to act a little excited about this. This is huge for you. This is like your debut.
Yeah. Well,
he's like,
it's been a crazy thing. So it's I mean, Seth's out there filming right now with the guys at the Olympic Project, so can't wait to see that.
That
Alex,
man never stops
on the
either.
show is out there. Yeah, so the Small Town Monsters guys, as we always said, really get out there and check their stuff out. We had Seth on, so we old interview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on to the point of the old shows. I went through and renamed everything on the podcast side, in the YouTube side. So, yes, that is my excitement side. Ooh.
Yeah, you did.
So,
hopefully this makes it easier.
Yeah, if you're looking for a show and you're looking for a particular guest, it's a lot easier. When Christy came up with some awesome names for some shows, like my Banana Splits episode that we had, or the MRE, Donuts and MREs, for
on the insistence of somebody who, where are you?
Doesn't help much. There? Yeah, whatever. The guy that forgets her birthday. Yeah, that guy. So, Teddy had Eric on last night. And I slept.
Yes, he did.
So I could go to work.
I popped in and said hello. Don't worry.
Sure. And there's Trouble. What's up, brother?
There he is.
Chasing more salamanders.
So we have some cool stuff coming up too. We have a special event ourselves coming up. So, keep your eyes peeled for, things this weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to do something special for your special big debut weekend. But at the same time, we have a reading show next week. So spread the word. And please, you guys, remember, guys and gals, go on to YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Oh, and that reminds me, I do want to bring up, Jamie Lynn's already been in touch with me. We have one winner I've not heard from yet. And unfortunately, I'm not sure how to get a hold of him. I haven't been able to find him. King Los, if you are, get nice and close. There we are. All right. You are the second winner for the 30-minute reading with me. So I need him to get a hold of me to claim his reading with me. So so you never know. We might run it again. We might do something like that again. So just, tune in and, please spread the word, subscribe, like our
share,
pages.
Subscribe, hit it, Instagram, whatever. So,
yes.
There's some cool stuff coming out from Florist Floor that I'll be able to show soon. And my partner actually got me a new Bigfoot, so we have a new Bigfoot to add to the collection over here. So we got some cool guests tonight.
We do. These ladies are gonna rock it.
Yep.
Not rock it like they're gonna rock the field. They're gonna rock the show. They're really cool. They will
definitely keep you all on
your toes.
Yeah. I've been there myself.
Yeah, they gave you a run for your money. That's for sure.
Things today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great fun to watch that. So it was good. So they are the very first I believe it said the Midwest, right? All female Squatch team. Yep. Go figure. So I can't wait to talk to them because this is going to be very, very interesting. You don't really hear about the female point of view. I mean, even me, I only just started getting into it myself, so I have like this much experience. That's it, but these girls really get out there and do their thing. So this will be interesting. So get your questions ready for them, you guys. Definitely.
Questions, guys. So it's always a wonderful thing. I always have a whole list, that, and we'll try to get those rocking through.
I do too. I have some questions just from the female point of view. I'm excited.
Well, that's always good because we're
really
going to
be outnumbered again.
Okay. You and Amy beat me up a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Actually, she sent us to some cool places the other day that we ended up in. Her research on was kind of awesome. 168 miles later. Let's make a left turn here. So darn,
I missed out on that one.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, everybody. Well, please welcome to the show the She-Squatchers, Jena and Jen.
Hello,
ladies. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh. Definitely our pleasure. So you got to watch Mike on the show?
Oh,
yes. Oh, yes. I was in the chat room that night. And then after when you posted your video, I went back and I watched. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I was.
Oh, he's
bravo,
so much
ladies. Bravo.
He's a good guy. We had a lot of fun with him.
Yes, you did.
Hey, that was another birthday show. Hey.
Oh, yeah, it was because it was your birthday, Jena.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That's right. That's right. Oh, my gosh.
You can send gifts or money too. No,
right?
I'll accept credit cards. Thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, they charge too much.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I know.
25,000% interest.
Oh my God, it's awful. So welcome. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So, wow, there's already questions and comments coming in here. This is great.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Ted.
That goes up there.
That's great. So, okay. So you do have other team members. So I wanted to at least acknowledge them since they couldn't be here tonight. So how many of you are there and who are they? Let's give them some props here.
Well, I'm going to let Jena talk right now because I'm trying to upload photos from my other location. So go ahead, Jena.
Okay. Well, in 2015, Jen had basically started a team of female Bigfooters. And it was because of an interview that she had done with Loren Coleman. So, and she actually has this interview on our website. So you can just play the actual interview. You can hear her and the excitement in her voice. She's like, oh, so it's really exciting. And so she started, and she'd never told me about it. She was totally quiet about it. And one day she invited me into her work office, and I was sitting there talking to her, hanging out like normal. She goes, Jena, yeah. So this weekend, I went out and looked for Bigfoot, and I have this team. And meanwhile, I'm going,
why? Right?
And I'm getting excited, right? I'm totally getting excited for this whole thing. And Jen's still a little embarrassed. She's, you can tell everybody gets a little worried what people are going to think, when you start something like this. But in all reality, it was so awesome. I told Jen right away, I was like, oh, please, I have to be on this team. After she told me about the amazing experiences that they had that first night, I was so excited.
Wow.
So she's definitely the person to talk to about that. But yes. And she's like, okay, keep going, Jena.
Yeah, I know, right?
Other than that, she's going to fill you in with all the goodies, like the specifics.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay, here we go. So I had a paranormal radio show, and I ended up at the Paracon in Minnesota, the big Paracon, and Loren Coleman, the cryptozoologist who you always see on TV about Bigfoot. He's got the Cryptozoology Museum in the state of Maine. He was there, and he agreed to do a sit-down interview with me for my show. At the time, I really didn't know anything about Bigfoot. I was really into ghosts and all that. I did send you the pictures on Facebook.
Okay.
That was me blowing up your phone. And
no, it just kept popping over my comments. I was like, oh, what's going on here? That's a new spot.
Right? Well, like I said before we came on the air, I'm on my brand new laptop, and I just put a new SD card in my phone too. So I was shipping the photos from old conversations that I had on Messenger. I'm like, forward, because I don't have them on anything here right now. Okay. So I was interviewing Loren Coleman, and it was really awesome. He sat down with me for over an hour, and we did an awesome interview. I didn't really believe in Bigfoot, to be honest with you. I was really into the paranormal, and I'm a Reiki master teacher. I'm a psychic medium. I was doing remote viewing for paranormal teams and doing a lot of work with that. But, I'm interested in anything curious, I guess, and he was a great interview. So during that interview, he enlightened me about Bigfoot, and he was so fascinating and so interesting that I kind of got interested. And he had an idea that he thought was the recipe for success in interacting and getting close to Bigfoot. He thought that would be to send women into the woods without men, dogs, or guns. And he thought this would get the attention of the Bigfoots that people are encountering near the roadways. He said a lot of times Bigfoot that people see aren't generally family units crossing the road. They're just one single male that's usually a younger male. He's probably out doing the things he's not supposed to be doing by the people. And he thought that these younger male Bigfoots would be more inclined to come in a little closer to get a look at some ladies if they didn't have anything threatening with them.
Oh my God.
And so right on the air, I live said, pick me, hey there, big boy. And, I was joking. But by the end of the interview, I was like, all right, I'm ready to try this. I grew up in the woods in Minnesota. I'll go out there and try it. I'll get some ladies together and we'll go do this. But honestly, I was a little embarrassed to tell my closest friends that I was going to go looking for Bigfoot because I honestly didn't really believe in Bigfoot. I hadn't spent any time thinking about Bigfoot or whether or not it was real. I just assumed it wasn't. I had maybe seen a handful of shows on finding Bigfoot. So I really didn't know anything about it other than what Loren Coleman was telling me, which was enough to intrigue me to go look. So I asked some of the ladies that I knew at the convention that were paranormal investigators. They had all the night vision cameras and things that I thought we might need to go into the woods at night. And they were down for it. So we set up the time to go do this. And being that I am a psychic medium and a Reiki master teacher, I feel energy on a physical level. And so I thought, in addition to Loren's idea about women in the woods without men, dogs, or guns, I thought, why can't we use our extra senses to see if we can get an advantage to finding these creatures a little bit easier than just stumbling through the woods looking at locations that might be of interest. So we had known that there was an encounter in Minnesota on a place called 6 Mile Lake, which was on an Indian reservation. And what had happened was it was a younger native gentleman who was fishing from his canoe towards evening. And he had supposedly launched his canoe from a local boat launch. And the only local boat launch that was listed was on the side of the lake where all the homes and cabins were. And then it's a really long, skinny lake. And then the other side of the lake is just really thick forest with a little tiny road running through it called Reservation Highway 20. And it's really just a gravel road with one car width. If you meet another car, somebody's going to have to back up because you can't pass each other that way.
I don't like those roads.
Right? And the trees
especially
are
when
right
Mike's driving.
And way too much.
Yeah. So the gentleman had been fishing and it was getting dark, so he decided to go back up to the boat launch. And when he got closer to it, there was a Bigfoot in the shallows, like up to his knees, like in the water. And it was moving aggressively towards him. And so he didn't come closer. He just kind of kept going down the shore and it was following him. But it wasn't getting in any deeper. So he just stayed out further. And this was going on for a couple of hours and his cell phone was dead. He couldn't call for help. But his family, when he didn't come home, they're like, something's wrong. He didn't come home. So somebody drove out there and started beeping their horn and flashing their lights at the boat launch, which scared the Bigfoot into the woods. Well, he paid attention to where it ran in, and they returned the next day and looked for footprints, and there was lots of them. Wow. It was very muddy, so they got really good casting and all kinds of footprints back there. And it's really thick, really thick forest back there. And so when we heard it was this public boat launch and there was only one listed, and I was looking at it going, that doesn't make sense to me that it would be there. There's too many houses. There's too many people up there. I think it would be on this side of the lake. So I really wanted to concentrate on to the side of the lake that didn't have people or houses or anything really. So we decided we were going to go out during the day, and we traveled along this Reservation Highway 20, and we stopped at places that I thought, felt, or looked interesting. When I say felt, I was specifically looking for an energy feeling that I had not sensed before. Obviously, I hadn't sensed Bigfoot before. So I was really looking for feeling something that I had not sensed before. And I know, Christy, I see that you're a Reiki master, so you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. I'm also an empath, so that makes it worse. Mike is also a Reiki master. We both are. Yeah. So we totally get it.
Pronounce it right.
I know, right? He's not allowed to say that until he can actually say the word correctly.
Now I was hear him say it.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
no,
don't
say
have
it.
to be muted here. Just be you.
Oh no, I know, right? Actually, I was just. Can you say it, please?
Reggae.
Reggae. That's reggae. That's the music.
Reiki.
Reggae.
Yeah.
Michael, say it right.
I can't pronounce my own name half the time, so
you know how to say it.
Reiki, but it's there. It's on the wall over here.
It's honey, I understand. It's like coupon and coupon.
I'm from Rochester. We don't pronounce anything right.
Oh,
we have
Avon,
right. Which everybody else in the world says Avon. We have
my mom's Avon,
which
for like
is
30 years.
Charlotte. We have Chile, which is chili. We don't pronounce anything right around here.
Wow.
Welcome
I don't know what
to
to
Rochester.
Well, clearly you can if you want to. You just choose not to. There's a difference.
I think I belong there. I really think I belong there. You know, when somebody tells you not to do something, then you just want to do it. It's like, I didn't even want to do it until you said it.
Look at that. Come on, do it.
I can't.
Do it.
Micah.
There you go.
But you didn't do the last name.
You pronounce her name Micah, and he always used to call her Micah. I'm like, dude, it's your name with an A at the end. How do you mess that up?
Oh,
thank you, Teddy, for bailing me out again.
She comes to us from across the world in the Netherlands, and it's like 2 or 3 a.m. there for her. So I'm like, you at least got to get her name right.
Right. Oh, for funny. Yeah, where is she from?
The Netherlands, I believe. Oh shoot, and I know I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, Micah, where are you? It's the Netherlands, right? And if not, I apologize, but I know it's really, really far away with a whole bunch of oceans in between us.
Well, let's just say hello, Netherlands.
We
Dakota.
love her. She's a very dear friend of the show.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, no.
I want to visit there.
And there's the other guy with a lot of water in between. Hello, Robert. So sounds like
hello. So the Netherlands. I was right. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
So, I got Netherlands, and a good job. I got it right from once. Okay. So where did you find this report? Was this like the local with BFRO?
The locals
guys
were
at the gas station.
The locals were talking about it, but it actually, the Finding Bigfoot people came up here right away. And so they were on location right away. And so actually their producer called us and wanted to meet with us. So it was pretty neat. So we got to go and meet them and all that. So that was pretty fun. So we went in there too. But we went in there after they did. Anyway, so we didn't know exactly where it happened, but so here we are. We're driving around this lake in the daytime, and I'm stopping wherever something looks interesting or feels interesting. And there was this spot that I felt this energy just zapping me, and it was an energy. I was like, had my awareness open to any new energies that I had not felt before. Then I was really specifically asking to feel Bigfoot energy. And I was really feeling a lot going on at this particular spot. So we stopped, we got out, we looked around. We didn't see anything that would lead us to believe that Bigfoot was there. So we just kept moving on to the next spot and the next spot. But I had marked that spot on my GPS with GPS coordinates as a location of interest that I wanted to check out after dark. So we kept on going around, and we were looking, we'd stop, especially at muddier locations, and look in the mud to see if there was any prints left behind. And at the very top of the lake, there's a water inlet coming in from a wetland. And so there's this little bridge that was built, and it's gravel on top of the bridge, hard gravel. And we're walking across that. And something just told me to turn around and look back. And when I turned around and looked back, I could see this trackway on the gravel road. It was really hard to see. We didn't see it coming up on it. It was only until we passed it and I looked back and it like just hit the shadows just right. Because they weren't deep, but you could definitely see that they were bare feet, and it was a whole trackway. And so it must have walked through there when it was wet, and then it just hardened. Oh. Yeah, it wasn't gravel that would like leave an impression. It was just barely there. Wow. And the footprints were so far apart that it was like, wow, I was the tallest person on the team. So here's me running and leaping next to them to see if I can match it at all. And I couldn't even come close. We didn't have, this was our first time out. We didn't have anything with us to cast anything. And it's not that they were castable anyway, but we didn't even have a tape measure. So we were using things that were well known in size, like dollar bills, which I'm going to say to everybody out there, if you don't have a tape measure, use something like money, because everybody knows that's a standard size and you can measure that out and it really get a good size. A lot of people you'll see, they'll put their shoe next to a footprint. I really get annoyed by that because how big is your foot? I don't know. And
right.
Yep.
Right. You could be, you don't know how big that foot is. So put some money down. Yeah, it might blow away. So if you're feeling rich, put some 5s and 10s down, but carry some because it might blow away, right?
Yeah.
There she is.
Strictly 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock. I deal with strictly $1 bills. 1 o'clock. Where's my brain? I'm so sorry. I don't think I'm here.
You have Mike brain. That's okay. We understand. It's contagious.
It is. Let's start calling it Mike brain.
Yep.
Oh no, we should. There you go.
We got. Sorry, Mike.
You're turning red again.
I know.
It's okay. I'm just trying to figure out what Teddy's comment was with "it's big."
Oh boy.
Okay.
What?
It's
Teddy. Yes.
I don't know.
It's Teddy.
Oh, his shoes. Never mind. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now okay.
Anywho.
So we finished up looking around during the day. I really didn't feel anything over on the side of the lake where there was all these cabins and people. And so really my interest was on the other side where there was just lots of thick forest in this little road. And so we returned after dark and it was so dark. Didn't see anything once the lights turned off on the car. Really, we just parked the car right in the middle of the road because there's nowhere else to put it. And we got out of the car and all the other girls had their things in the back hatch, and except for me, I had my things. And one of the girls had borrowed a thermal camera from somebody that she knew. And she didn't know much about this camera other than you pull the trigger and it takes a picture. So that's what she
use
told
it in the
me.
hotel room. Oh, wait, that was your other show.
That was Jena.
Hey, that was us. What are you talking about? Okay, for everyone out there, if you haven't heard the story. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We used a machine. You can watch Mike's interview and to learn about the story. But no, we used a machine that basically can see almost through clothing because it reads the heat, the body temperature. So we were getting almost pornographic pictures.
Yeah, see how red his face is?
Now she's really stuttering like I am.
I have
maybe I need to do this. We need to switch it around this side of the screen. Can't get things right,
Let me make it clear, though, when I say that, it's all in fun. But really, you could see the chest, and you could see the underwear line and everything. It was like, what in the world? And here we are thinking, let's show everybody. And it's like, no.
Let me tell you how that story really happened. So Jena and I were speaking at an event somewhere and I was tired. I was ready to go to bed. I was in my pajamas. She's in her pajamas. The lights are turned off. I'm laying in bed ready to go sleep. Half awake. Jena's like, oh, but Jen, you have to see this new thermal camera that I got. And I'm like, Jena, I want to go to bed now. And she's like, no, just look at me with it. Just look at me in the dark. So she hands it to me and I'm looking at her on the screen and I'm like, Jena, I can see your tots. And
I guess I didn't want to bring up my tots, but okay. Everything. Everything, oh boy.
Oh, yeah. That's great. The technology is amazing nowadays, isn't it?
It is. And I'm sure everybody out there is like, what kind did they use? What kind did they use? Well, you can't find out today.
It may be a brand that I mention occasionally.
Oh, shame. Yeah, just don't point it at us in a dark room, please.
Well, I think it would be okay if you had undergarments on.
Did I have no undergarments? Oh, it was
no,
nighttime.
we were in our pajamas.
That's right.
See, you chased Mike away. Look at that.
He blanked out. He froze up. Blanked out.
Oh, gotta love it.
Oh, you love it.
I realized the therm was out in the car because I was like, yep, here.
Actually, yes.
Moving on.
Anyway.
Gosh, you guys are too much.
We've got this. You're out there. Did any of the other team members feel any of this energy while you're out?
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say, one of the teammates, she brought this thermal camera that she borrowed, and she handed it to me when she got out of the car to go get her stuff in the back hatch, because everybody else was going to the back. I was ready, and I was so excited to play with this thermal. I'm like, can I hold it? Can I play with it? And because I had never played with a thermal before. So she hands it to me. I go up to the front of the car. They're all at the back hatch getting their stuff. And here's me scanning the woods with this little thermal to see if there's anything out there. And I was excited. I was looking for bunnies, deer, whatever. I just wanted to see something show up on this thermal. And so I'm scanning the woods, and I just keep going. And now I'm pointing it out in front of the car. And out in front of the car to the left, right near the tree line on the left, there was somebody standing there. Or it looked like somebody was standing there. Showing up as red and yellow on the thermal, and human shape. And I just assumed naturally that it was one of my teammates, grabbed her gear and walked out in front of the car. And I said, hey, who's out in front of the car? Because I can't see them. It's too dark. And nobody said anything. So I said, hey, who's out in front of the car? Nobody said anything. And I kept saying that with more anxiety in my voice when nobody was answering me. And all of a sudden, Marlo realized something's going on up there. So she coming up to me, and she looks at the screen that I'm looking at, and she sees the same thing I'm seeing. There's somebody standing there. And so she looks up at it to see if she can see anything there with her eyes. And she said, oh, I just saw eyes. I just saw red eyes. And I'm like, you did? So I look up from the screen, which is tiny, and I'm looking to see if I can see anything there, which I don't. And so I'm just searching. And then when I look back down at the camera screen and I can't find it again. It's gone. But we both saw it. Now, then it's gone. And so I'm assuming that it went into the woods towards the left, which is because it was standing right on the road, but at the tree line on the left. And so we decided we were going to walk that way. So there was 5 of us that night. And so 3 of us decided we were going to walk into the woods that way. And as we're walking into the woods that way, all of a sudden we hear something. And we're hearing something moving through the branches of the tree in front of us. And then something drops and bounces on the ground, right, like 3 feet in front of us. And we're looking at it, and I said, is that a rock? And Marlo says, I think that is a rock. And then we hear something else coming through the branches and the trees, and another one lands right next to it and bounces, and then another one and another one. And I'm just standing there dumbfounded that somebody is throwing rocks at us, and they're all just landing conveniently 3 to 4 feet in front of us in the same general location. And it was like somebody was just lobbing them up through the trees, and you could hear them coming down through the branches. And I didn't know, again, this was my first time out. I didn't know much about Bigfoot. I, at that time, did not know that Bigfoot was known for throwing rocks at people. I didn't know that. And
it's an experience.
It is an experience. Yep. So at the time, I was like, what the heck is going on here? I mean, this is Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota in the woods all the time, even by myself as a kid, running through the woods by myself for all day long. Nothing has ever thrown rocks at me before. You know, logic is going through my mind. I'm like, okay, wolves, bear, deer, rabbits. None of these things throw rocks. And and
Jen, unmute yourself. There we go. We got to be able to hear you.
So funny. Oh, no, that's so funny. Go on, Jen. Sorry.
So, I mean, I was just like, what? And then one of the girls said, I think Bigfoot are known for doing that. I'm like, shut up, really? And
see, now I was not part of this team at that time.
Wasn't there yet.
This was the pre-Jena.
The pre-Jena. Okay.
This was the fun weekend that I had that I went and told Jena about right away when I got back. And she was so mad at me that I didn't take her with me the first time.
So I was just, how exciting that is? That's so exciting. How could you not bring your bestie?
First time out? I mean.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm glad she didn't, though, because I'm glad it happened as it did. Sorry, John.
This is the spot that had that interesting energy feeling that I noted. And I was like, we are coming back here. And everybody's like, whatever. And I was the only Reiki master on the team. So I was the only one feeling that stuff. And so I kind of opened my awareness. Okay, what does this mean? And I felt like it meant don't walk this way. So we backed up back to the road. And then, I'm like, okay, well, now what do we do? And one of the girls said, hey, why don't we do one of those Bigfoot calls like they do on TV? I said, okay, go for it. And you do that.
Thank you. And, sorry.
I had a radio show and my co-host, his wife was with us that night, and he was famous for getting clips of me doing stuff and then playing it on the show to embarrass me. Like he had a clip of me clucking like a chicken, and that would just randomly start playing in the middle of the show.
Now, Jen, please do the chicken. You told him about it. Now you have to do the chicken, the cock. Come on.
I haven't told that story in so long.
You have to do it now. You're on live, baby.
Do you even want to hear that story about the chicken?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I actually was when I went to school in Chicago for some continuing ed, they had a talent show, and it was mandatory that you had to do a talent in the talent show. They said it's part of your grade. You have to. And I'm like, oh geez, what should I do? And I was in a class, and most of the people in my class, there's 85 of us. Most of them were doctors.
Wow.
And so I'm like, what should I do? What should I do for my talent? And so I get up there and I start telling them that I'm so gifted that I couldn't figure out just one thing. And then I figured out the one thing that nobody else could do, that I could do, and that they would be really impressed with. And so I started telling them, and this is a true story. It's a true story. Real life happening here. My mom I grew up on a farm with my mom, a little hobby farm, and we had 150 laying hens. We had milking cows that I milked by hand, and we had all these animals, and everybody had a name, and they were more like a pet, and the chickens would take turns sitting in my lap, and it was a very unique experience growing up. Anyway, so I went back home to visit my mom one day, and she had gotten all new chickens. Because after a while they get inbred and you have to get rid of them and get new chicks. And she'd gotten all new chicks and they were grown up. And she said, these chickens are so stupid. They don't know, the roosters don't know how to cockle-doodle-doo. She says, I get out there and I go, to try to teach them, and they don't do it. She said, they don't even try to do it. She's like, I'm trying to. I'm like, geez, that's really intimidating, Mom. That's a really good cockle-doodle-doo. No wonder they're not trying. And she said, well, even they wouldn't even sit up on the roost. She was trying to teach them to sit up on the roost, and she's like, they're just stupid. Oh, she'd never seen anything like it. And so I said, well, let me see if I can talk to them, Mom. And she's like, okay. And now I had brought a friend along even. So there was like witnesses to this. And so I walked up to the chickens, and they had my mom had built this little enclosed pen that even had a roof in it, so that nothing could get in to get them in their little fenced-in yard area. And I walked up to them and I said, and the chickens all stopped and they looked at me, all of them, the hens and the roosters, they're just looking at me like, and they look at each other like, do you hear what she said? And I just kept clucking. They're just like in shock. And all of a sudden, one of the roosters goes, and the next one goes, Mom's like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I said, Mom, your cockle-doodle-doo is so intimidating. I just talked to the hens and in the hen voice, and I said, hey there, big boy, I'm looking for a big cock. True story. True story. And I was watching the people during the talent show.
Michael. He's just getting redder and redder and redder.
It's the light. See, it's better.
But you know, the recording that I did on the other show was like, I really went on for when I did the talent show, I clucked for a really long time. And everybody in the audience is looking at me like, oh my gosh, she thinks this is good talent. And they're like, oh my God, because I went on and on about how talented I was, and this was the most talented thing. And so I'm clucking and clucking and clucking, and they're just looking at me like, oh my goodness. And so when I told the rest of the story, they all burst out laughing and thought it was a great story. So, but it actually is a true story. My mom can attest to it. And
every time she tells it, it's hilarious. Every time. Yeah, I gotta learn that cock-a-doodle-doo. Try it on Jason. Wake him up in the morning.
Oh, all right, Brian, listen.
I didn't mean that.
Love it.
No.
So wait a second. I have a question because I want to back up just a little bit, and I want to know a little bit more about Jena now. So yes, tell us a little bit about you and yourself, and gifted, not gifted. How did you become? Well, obviously we know, with Jen, you incorporated yourself, with that group and joined that group. But so let's know a little bit about your background and what you're bringing to the table with this group then.
Well, I bring into the table that I'm me, and no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm from
you go, girl.
Right?
That's hard enough as it is. It is.
Right? There's not enough people that are truly themselves. It's just not fun. You don't even want to talk to people if they're not really them. It's like, I want to know you, not your persona.
Exactly.
Anyway, that was me in a nutshell, I guess. But anyway, my name is Jena. I grew up on a farm north of Glendon. I went to school. Everybody knew me because I was interested in ghosts all the time. Or, I knew about Bigfoot, but I wasn't really super interested in Bigfoot. I was in Texas for part of my life, and my father was a farmer, so we'd go back and forth. And so the first actual I learned about chupacabra first. You guys have heard of chupacabra? Okay, that was my first experience with any kind of anything, and I thought, ooh, chupacabra, but I always scared them by saying chupacabra. They were so scared of the word. Anyway, so I kind of got into different things down in Texas. I learned how to be a writer. Jen, I don't even know if you know this. What I did was I would take a pen and I would allow spirit to come through this part. I wouldn't allow it any further. So then what I'd do is I'd take a pen, and you could do it two ways. At least I did it one way. But anyway, I put it as kind of like a Ouija board with the letters, the yes, no, things like that. Oh. And I allowed myself to do it. Well, in Texas, I ended up actually predicting who we were going to meet. And I just about flipped out. I wrote it down. I was going out with a friend of mine, and I said, who are we going to meet tonight? 17, 18 years old. You think you're hot stuff. Who? So, I wrote out his name's Michael. And I was like, okay. And I told my friend, I said, we're going to meet Michael tonight. And I totally didn't really think it was true because you never trust yourself. Right. But
right.
It happened. So we ended up going into a bar that we couldn't get into because we were underage. So we sat by the car, out in the parking lot, and acted all cool and stuff. So someone would come out and invite us to a party. Remember, 17, 18, we were stupid. So anyway, this guy comes out and he says, hey, gals, really nice guy. He was a teacher. He was over at the college. And he said, come over to my house. And we're like, oh, gosh, what's your name? And he goes, Mike. He goes, I really go by Mike. Or my real name is Michael, but I go by Mike. And she looked at me like, oh, people get scared when these kind of things happen. So those are the kind of little things that I do when I was younger, and at times you just don't want to admit it. to some people.
Right.
You really have to be careful who you talk to about that. But as far as ghosts, everybody thought I was a ghost, into ghosts, which I, still am, but they're just beautiful. I understand them so much more now.
So, what got you into, especially at a younger age, you said you were involved in the paranormal, or you were interested in it. Why? Did you know you were gifted yourself? Did you, like how, especially because when you're younger, right? Especially when we were younger, you're right. It was not talked about. It was not advertised. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
And Jen, I'm sure you get it.
Well, let me just tell you something. When I was younger, to answer your question, I would get signs, and I was so afraid that those signs would turn bad, I would run away from them. So I would literally get like bright blue. I have a mic. I have the mics. I literally had a bright blue cross that I could not explain. Like I literally went everywhere, searched through the windows, any kind of light. It was nighttime, so it was dark. There was no possible lights that somebody drove by, So I would get gifts like this, or, I would just start writing, and it's the most amazing thing. So I think that's
I love how you said that they were gifts. I love that you described it like that.
Yeah. And there's so much more that happens to a person in their lifetime. To say one story is just,
right.
Just a little bit. But
that's awesome. Wow. That's great. So I just think it's very interesting, especially being a medium and only having this much of a taste of the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, area of things. That you're
right.
You know what? One of these days I'm going to take off and do my own thing, and you're going to be like, oh shit. Oh yeah. Okay. She wasn't kidding.
She wasn't
That's
kidding.
right.
She's probably going to be on like coast to coast going, hi, remember Mike? He's no longer with me. Thank you. He laughed at me.
Excellent. I love it. Thank you for that.
Easy, Mike. You to coast. I want to go.
Yeah. Right? Coast to coast. We will also have we can do applications.
I would so cluck for them.
She would cluck for them. You would. I know you would, Jen.
Well, I mean, I find it very interesting because my perspective, number one, as a woman, and number two, as a medium, right, is so different than even working with paranormal investigators who are not open to their gifts or connected on that level. So it's the same idea, like going out with Mike and the other guys. It's it definitely throws a spin on things, right? So I think it's really neat that you're taking those gifts and using them in the field in a different way, in a different kind of field, I guess we should say. So how do you girls find that works, and what makes you different? One, being woman, and two, being as gifted as you are.
Jen?
All right. So I didn't finish this story the first time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had finished it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We have so much to talk about.
The reason I didn't want to do the Bigfoot call that night was because I knew that it was going to be recorded and then it would end up on the radio. Like my clucking.
But what she's not telling you is what she realized later years later? Or was it soon after? About the clothing?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't when Jena finally got a thermal camera for us to use. And so after playing with that quite extensively, I was like, hey, when you look at somebody with clothes on, you can see their clothes, that it's covering up their body heat. So their temperature comes up different wherever their clothes are. And you can literally see their clothes.
Right.
What I saw that night wasn't wearing clothes.
Now, did you see any movement, or was it pretty stationary during that time?
It was just standing there. It looked like a person just standing there. And when I got a hold of Marlo and I said, hey, Marlo, you remember when you saw on the thermal that night, did it look like they had clothes on? No, she's like, no. And now that you say that, no. And so I'm like, okay, so we saw the same thing. And, it was a hindsight much later that, hey, what I saw that night was not wearing clothing, because it was coming up the same body temperature throughout the whole. I mean, it was very clearly a person's shape.
Right. Wow.
And, couldn't see anything. I couldn't tell how far away it was. It was probably.
Oh no,
she
I don't know how
froze.
far away it was. It wasn't that far away. I really thought it was
Jen, we're
somebody from my
laughing.
team.
We're laughing because you literally were frozen right when you were going to say something like this. And it was like, no, the best part of the story. That's why we're laughing.
What did you miss?
I don't know.
What did you miss?
Which part was it? All I know is you were so fabulous.
Said.
No, sorry.
Bigfoot wearing red lights for sky watching. Ooh, Robert.
Right.
I do not know
But,
what those guys are doing down there.
Needless to say, I was actually there when Jen kind of thought like, oh my gosh. And she started telling me about it. And I was like, yes, this is something. Oh my gosh, Jen. I mean, she was like, bam, like what? Oh, so this is really exciting.
Yeah.
That's great.
So one of the girls that was with me that night, then she did the call. So it wasn't going to be me ending up on a recording. So, and so she did one of those whoops. And then we were all quiet and waiting to hear if anything called back. And all of a sudden, nothing called back, but all of a sudden we started hearing some movement. And it was very clearly something with 2 feet that was walking towards us, very large, cracking big sticks as it was walking. And it wasn't coming from the left side of the road where we had the rocks coming at us. It was coming from the right side. And so we're all pointing our cameras into the woods towards the sound to see what we can see with the night vision and all that. Not seeing anything. And now remember, these women that I had brought with me that first time were all paranormal investigators, and they had all this really cool night vision equipment that worked really good inside haunted houses. But it doesn't light up the woods. That's what we learned that night. It doesn't light up the woods very far in, so we weren't seeing anything coming. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody snapped their fingers, and that sound of something walking towards us multiplied. And now there's something walking towards us from multiple directions. That same kind of sound is now coming from us from multiple directions. And we just circled up back to back facing out. And I just for a moment looked at us and thought, wow, we didn't even talk about what to do if we were in trouble. And we instinctively just did this. This is good. This is good. And now we're all just like looking to see if we can see what's coming, and we can't. And the girls were getting really scared. And multiple somethings, very large, were coming near us, and we couldn't see what it was. And so one of the girls said, hey, Jen, do your tobacco thing. And what she meant was, now we were on an Ojibwe Indian reservation, and I am part Ojibwe. I'm enrolled in one of the Ojibwe reservations, Red Lake in northern Minnesota. We were on the reservation down the road from that. we were on a different reservation, but it's still Ojibwe. So I took the tobacco in my hand and I started to pray in the Ojibwe language out loud. And I did a very formal introduction to my prayer. I said all my spirit names, my clan, where I come from, who named me. I started naming my relatives. And that's a very, very old formal way of introducing yourself. And then I said, Miigwech memegweshig, which is thank you to the little people of the forest. And then I said, Miigwech kichisabe, which is thank you to Bigfoot. And as soon as I said that, thank you to Bigfoot, everything just stopped. It went silent. It didn't move forward. It didn't retreat. Everything just stopped moving. It was just silent.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, it worked. But the girls didn't understand what I was saying. And so they were just still scared. And for me, I was like, when I talked to some of the native elders from different reservations, there was one specific elder from the Turtle Mountain reservations who told me that you could pray to Bigfoot and ask for help keeping the deer off the road, and he would do that. He would help you. You could make requests of Bigfoot. And so I take that information is very sacred to me, and I like to believe in it, but honestly, I have a very logical, skeptical mind. And so I kind of have to experience something to fully accept it.
Yes.
And it's not because I take all that information that they tell me to heart, and I keep it there. But really, my logical mind really needs to experience it.
Yeah.
So that was me experiencing them reacting to my prayer.
There you go. And that's a struggle for all of us, right? No matter what it is, especially those of us that are connected with our gifts. It really is. I mean, I always tell people it never gets old for me with the validation, not because I question anymore what I'm receiving or how I'm doing it. It's we're human. We like that. And it is good to get that feedback and that validation to just say, yes, thank you. Like, it just makes you feel good, but not in a humble way, like, this is great. I helped this person, or yes, we were able to reach this person,
Yes.
I have a question quick before we go to a commercial though. Like how they always say, right, Mike, that you usually can smell when Bigfoot's around. Did you girls smell anything, Jen, when you were out there? Just curious. Cause I know it doesn't.
Never smelled anything.
Stone, but
never smelled anything. And that's been a question for us too. And we've asked a lot of other Bigfoot researchers at all these events, about the smells. And there have been some interesting opinions that have come back to us. There's a lot of Bigfooters that believe that perhaps Bigfoot is giving off a smell as a deterrent to leave the area, like kind of like a skunk does.
Yeah.
And doesn't always smell that way.
Okay, interesting.
It's interesting when you come across to something similar to it.
Yeah.
We had that happen to us up in the Adirondacks, and I wasn't quite near the team, but they could smell it, and then I came down, and I'm like, "What is that?" It's just, it wasn't skunk. It was like Limburger cheese.
Mexican again.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of our experiences, I know you guys have to get a break, but a lot of our experiences, we're not smelling things, and I know I've pointed it out too. I mean, I've gone into structures, and I'm like, Jen, everything makes sense except there's no smell. Right. So at the beginning, it was like we didn't understand.
Well, and you know what? Maybe that is because you are a female. Maybe that is because your concept and your whole approach to this is accurate in the way that they don't want you to leave. So they're not going to do something that is going to deter you from being there.
I think they're a lot more entertained by us, and they're probably
sure.
That's Stephen, my mentor's big thing is that, we're their television. Let's roll out to a quick commercial. And I'm going to circle back around because you brought up tree structures, reminding me my friend Matt is here from Central Florida.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
And there's people with questions for you too.
Yeah, and that's
and George, I prefer Bavarian cream, but that's so sweet of you. So I'll take whatever you're willing to offer.
George, me too.
Okay, so a quick commercial from our WLFE family. And here we go.
Cue Jena.
WLFE-DB.com, where you can find vodcast shows, podcasts, and more like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Paratalk Radio, Just Cindy, and more. So go check out WLFE-DB.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Brie, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area, 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Ted Van Son Jr. is a seasoned investigator and well-versed in the ways of paranormal investigation. He is now ready to share his ideas and unique approach with all of you. Flashlight, recorder, and comfortable shoes. Hit the ground running as you follow this easy step-by-step guide to a fun and thorough paranormal investigation, perfect for first-time and lightly seasoned investigators. Think outside the paranormal box. Learn all about the technology and techniques used back in the early days of paranormal investigation. You can find these valuable resources online at Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Amazon. Get yours today.
Hi, I'm Jena Grover. In the world of fashion, we get lost in the cost. Everyone wants that special piece of quality jewelry, but they can't afford it. Not on my watch. I sell handmade quality jewelry for a fraction of the price, and that includes jewelry made of sea glass, natural stone, crystal beads, glass beads, Bigfoot jewelry, and more. If you don't see what you want, email me because I make custom jewelry too. Check out my website at gbythesea.com. Also, you can email me at jewelry@gbythesea.com.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
All right, we're back. I'm unmuted for once, which is a miracle coming back from commercial.
Progress.
I have to cut in and say that was a lot of my voice. Wow.
Yes, it was. But you
That's
have agreed.
fun.
You do so well at it, though. You sound
Aw.
fantastic. Yeah.
I love doing it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
you can
got
tell.
we got a couple questions here. So
Okay.
let me circle back to the questions here. So where was the first one here? It was Jena. Let's go here first from Matt because that was right in front of
I'm
me.
lost.
Where and how did you learn the language? So I guess that one's towards Jen. That's from Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot.
I am part of Ojibwe. I'm a tribal member of the Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians in northern Minnesota. So I'm not fluent by any means, but I do know some of the language, and definitely know how to introduce myself and to do some prayers in Ojibwe, and do a little bit of conversating back and forth. And I learned that just through immersion into ceremonies and being with the people of the tribe.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
The next one is for Jena, and this is from Brian from Bearded Paranormal. What age did your gifts start to happen?
Hi, by the way. Honestly, I think the earliest member. Oh, I've got the mics. I'm going to start calling it the mics. I'm sorry, Mike, but it's happening so much tonight. It's like
Yep.
it's a sign.
Yes.
I do adore you, though. No, I was so little I couldn't have been 3.5 feet tall, so I'd assume like maybe 3-4 years old. I remember looking up, and I actually had met my first psychic, and I didn't know she was psychic, but I'd said something, and it was like she read my mind, and I was like. And she looked at me like, and I was like, oh my gosh, we just totally had a connection. And I have goosebumps right now thinking about it because I was so little and I just remembered, you don't expect that.
No,
So
that's really neat.
thank you for the question.
Thank you. The next one's going to be back for Jen. This is from Christina. Jen, you also didn't tell us what your mom did with that first round of stupid chickens.
They were actually better after. They were crowing, they were cock-a-doodle-dooing, they were sitting up on their roofs. They learned.
But what about the
I
other
think-
chickens?
The other chickens didn't need to be taught.
No, I mean the ones that you got rid of. What did you guys do with? Where did they go?
Well, they were butchered and eaten, Jena. That's what you do.
Oh, I thought maybe it was a magical story. Sorry, Jen.
Well, no, I mean,
That's a hot tub for
languages
them.
will only
It was.
last so long. Chickens don't live forever.
Yeah. I'm sure they tasted magical, right?
They were magically delicious.
Magically delicious. There you go.
So now-
Obviously, Jena grew up on a farm where they did not have livestock.
Well, they did. But then when I was there, I was enough to handle. They had to get rid of all the animals. They had me. Crazy. I'm a bit strung. Sometimes. I'm a good time. Like I always tell Jen, I said, we're a good time. And she's like, don't say that. That sounds terrible. But I'm like, but we are. And I mean it in the nicest way. We are fun people. We are
It
what
can't
we
be
are.
any worse than shooting, IR at each other in the dark. So I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We've been.
And cue the red face.
And it's the light.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a light. Sure it is.
Mike,
I like
your wife. Did you go say, "Hey, honey, put your nightgown on and turn off the lights"? And did you try it out?
There you go.
Have you done that, Mike? Have you tried since you knew that those machines work like that? Did you try it? Just try it.
He's a guy. He probably figured it out a long time ago.
Thermal for a while.
Right.
And part of my search and rescue end of things.
Oh
is
yeah.
Thermal. So yeah, and like my ATN's good for a human target, like out to 1,000 yards and getting closer. Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, I guess I don't have to say anything else.
Yeah, there's some that are out there, some X-ray machines, that have seen it.
You could just see Jena's face turn all red. Like, what the
no. Anyway, so
on to the next question.
Yes, please.
You guys are out in the field quite a bit. What is the best evidence that you've come across?
It's all really awesome.
That's a hard question. Which one is the best? I think it depends on which one of us you ask. Tammy would say, our teammate Tammy, she would say the thermal. She would say the thermal video would be the best.
So you have thermal video that you have recorded and everything like that. And have you shared that or
it's on our YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel under She-Squatchers Tennessee Night Expedition, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And what happened was the girls went on a daytime expedition with Matthew Delph from MICRO, Mountain Empire Cryptid Researchers Organization.
Very cool guy.
He's an awesome guy. We were speaking at the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference. And so they had sold tickets for people to go out Bigfooting with us and him, and he selected the location. Now I kept saying I need to know where we're going because I never go out into the woods without looking at it on a map first, because I'm going to geographic remote view it. And it would be stupid to go out there without doing that for me, because that's how I do this. I mean, I look for the Bigfoot. We find them before we go there. And he wasn't understanding that that's how we roll. And I had a really bad case of bronchitis, and they were going to be hiking through the mountains. I'm like, I'm having trouble breathing the way that it is.
Pretty bad.
So they went without me during the day, and I said, girls, send me the coordinates when you get there, would you? So they did. And so I'm remote viewing it while they're out there, and I'm like, here, and here, and here. And and so when they were getting done, I'm like, hey, I want to go out there tonight. So they came and picked me up. We went out for dinner, and then we returned, just us three girls and Matthew, after dark. And so I had them with spot that I said, okay, they're up here. So we went and parked near that and pulled out the phone to the Google Maps and the satellite imagery to that location where we were at. And I asked, and I'd never done this before, I asked, is there anything here right now? And I saw a Bigfoot 30 feet from the car. And it's dark. You can't see outside the car. So I'm like, 30 feet that way. 30 feet that way. I'm seeing a Bigfoot on the remote view. And so Tammy grabs Jena's FLIR. She didn't really know how to work it. She knew how to turn it on. She didn't know how to make it. It wasn't my
fault. I just want to stand up and say, it's not my fault if you don't know the equipment. I just like to say that.
So I'm not even out of the car yet. Tammy grabs the FLIR and she jumps out and she points it the direction I say there's a Bigfoot over there. And sure enough, there's something there. And she's like, how do I make this record? How do I make this record? And I'm waiting for Jena to show her, so Jena grabs it. And, it seems in those moments, it seems like a long time before somebody reacts. It really does.
Right, right.
So when Tammy tells the story,
it was minutes. She was waiting forever. For me, I was just like, oh my gosh, seriously? But it's dark. Even if you know it, it's hard to find the buttons.
Yeah. When she was asking, she said she was watching it and it put its arm up and it had the hairs hanging down and it started scratching its elbow like this. And she said you could see that. And it was doing all this movement that she was watching that didn't get on the recording because she didn't know how to press record. And so Jena took it, pressed record, and handed it back to her. And so we got like 13 minutes of footage of this Bigfoot there. And it was working with something on the ground that was coming up as warm. So we think maybe it was skinning something or something, because we had it set on black hot, so skin temperature will show up as gray or black, anything body temperature like that, but hair is showing up as
white,
stark white.
And
so it was standing out like a white Christmas tree. It was there, it was, and it was moving its arms and doing something with something dark on the ground. And at first we thought maybe it was sitting there, but Matthew went back to that location later during the day. We had to leave in the morning because we were just down there for an event. So we were flying out in the morning. And So we had to leave, so we didn't get to go back during the day. But he went and checked out that same spot during the day, and he said right there where it was, there's actually a drop off there, like a ledge. And so he thinks it was standing there using it as like a countertop. Because we were only seeing it from this way up, from, yeah.
But and it was kind of doing this there, wasn't it, Jen? Or was that a different? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was moving.
That's interesting. I have a question about the remote viewing and things like that, because I can do that when I read. I don't do it regularly. Astral projecting, I can do it. Doesn't happen regularly now. But it's quite interesting that you can go and literally try to seek these things out before you go out there. And then be in the vicinity. So how is it? Are you able to get closer? Are you able to find where they stay? Are you actually, Jen, able to see them the way I would if I was in Mike's living room one time when he and his wife were watching TV? Which I know sounds really freaky and creepy, but it was just funny because, that's what happens. Right, Michael?
Did you see her?
We do not get into remote viewing too much, even though we have lots of friends that do it. Yep.
Mike, did you see her? Did you feel her there? Did you?
No, but, it was probably after the first investigation we're on, and I got, hey, are you wearing plaid pants and in a wood room? I'm like, what the hell? And this text, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm walking from one room to the other, and I sit down on the couch. I grab the blanket, I throw over my legs, I look down, I'm like, you God. Plaid blanket, my feet up on the wood coffee table, hardwood
We didn't know each other very well back then.
Yeah. Oh my, that might have been weirder.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is
what are you wearing?
Not going there. But
it's getting really hot in here.
Not
for those reasons.
Friends
No. This is his living room. His wife is home.
Oh no,
it's But but anyone who does that knows, like, you can see. So how are you seeing them? Are you? As a group, have you guys gotten close? Have you been able to really get in? Because we really haven't seen or heard much about that. So talk about those kinds of things too, because I know people want to know. We have to end soon. So like how much of an asset is the remote viewing for that, to find the Bigfoot, to get to where you want, to be able to do what you are setting out to do?
Can I just tell you really quick that in my office one night when I was working, I saw this magenta pink, very bright pink orb-like thing float into I saw it with my eyes closed, come through the bottom of the door, and it was like halfway in the floor. And I opened my eyes and I looked at it, and I'm watching it moving around in my office, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm like, ghosts don't have that kind of energy. What is that? That's like a living person energy. What is that? And I was like, get out of here. And because, with my work and stuff, people don't need to be in there. That's private and whatever. I'm like, get out of here. And so when I was done with my client, I was wondering, well, what was going on here? And I felt just called to look at the sign for businesses in my office building. And I saw there's a new name on the wall. So I walked down to that office door that it was listed, and there on the sign it says that they're doing psychic experiments.
Get out of here.
And well, they didn't say it that way. It was the Association of Multidimensional Awareness. And I'm like, it couldn't be as cool as that. It couldn't be as cool as I would interpret that. It must be something else. Right. But I emailed them and I said, listen, are you guys remote viewing? Because I saw somebody come into my office tonight, and I just want you to know that I know that most of the businesses are closed. Please just stay out of my office,
right.
And I can see you, so just make sure that you know that. And they were so interested to talk to me because they had just moved in that day.
Wow.
And they were doing remote viewing experiments, and they were just like looking around in the building.
That's so funny. And I just want to put it on record that when I did it and it was, Mike's house, it was unintentional. My guide sent me there for some reason. Like, I didn't just like set out to say, I'm going to spy on my new partner. It was nothing like that. It was kind of like took even me by surprise. My guides were like, sorry, we got something to do.
I totally get that.
But yeah, that's so funny that you say that. Oh, wow.
So for me, with Bigfoot, I was actually doing this for paranormal investigations teams first, where I would look at Google Earth satellite imagery, and I would look at a location, and I would just start asking questions about that location, like what's going on here. If it was a haunted location, I would be able to find out what was happening and why, and see what happened there, and be able to connect with the energies at that location. And so I was really accurate for years, and I knew that I was very accurate. So when I saw something, I knew I trusted that. Jena, not so much, didn't really understand that. When I remote viewed this, I thought, I'm going to use this and look for Bigfoot. So I started looking on their reservation, scanning the woods, asking, is there Bigfoot here? Is there any Bigfoot evidence here that we could collect? And all of a sudden I see this Bigfoot face, and it was a large male Bigfoot face. He looked really scary. I felt afraid of him, and it was like taking up this whole area that showed me this is his territory right here. And then about 200 feet away from the edge of that territory, I was getting a yes to, is there Bigfoot evidence here that we could collect? And this whole big area was lighting up this golden yellow color when I would ask, is there any Bigfoot evidence here that we could collect? And this whole area would light up, and it was a large area. And so I'm dropping GPS pins, and I'm like, scary male. Over here, there's Bigfoot evidence over here we can collect. The two places, there appeared to be a drivable trail. I hoped it was a drivable trail. Definitely wasn't a road, because roads are marked, right? And so I didn't know until we got there if we could drive it or not, and we could. And I do have a video of that. And it's barely a drivable trail. I'm just going to say that, because if you remember those old car washes where the stuff comes up over your car, it was like that driving through the woods. Scrape!
Oh boy.
Prove it. My car's got the marks to prove it.
They really does. I mean, I was in there. We had to move huge sticks, logs. Sorry, honey.
Okay. Yeah. We've got a question from the chat, and also I've got to follow up on it. What was the conclusion of the 2018 thermal? The camera pans away, and that was it. Did it run, or do you have any sound? Did you get any sound on it at all? And you guys said you were running.
It was a
black hot instead of the white hot, so it was coming up cold. It wasn't coming up hot. Is it white?
But
hair comes
hair shows
up
up as stark white. Hair. So at one point, we turned the camera towards. I took the camera and turned it towards Tammy, and you can see even Tammy's eyelashes are white. Her hair is white. Her eyebrows are white. Hair shows up as stark white, so it's showing up as white. The hair.
You have a question?
And so, what was the conclusion of that? We didn't.
Was there any wind that day or anything? That was the other half of the question. It was very
cold. It was very cold that day. It was like 28 degrees.
Well, we were up on the top of the mountain, so as we rose up, it just got colder and colder. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I was really surprised that it was that cold. And because we didn't bring coats or things that were that warm for being in Tennessee, I didn't expect it to be cold. Anyway, so in the end, I think we've got 13 or 18 minutes. We only posted like 6 minutes of it.
6 minutes.
Yeah. And it was just the same. Some of it gets blurry. And we just stopped looking at it. And I asked Tammy, did you feel like approaching it? And she really didn't. And I didn't either. None of us, even Matthew, didn't feel like approaching it. We just kind of had this, we're close enough. We're respecting this distance. And we got the video.
What was the brand on the thermal on that?
It was a FLIR Scout.
FLIR Scout. Okay, so
there's no audio to that.
The TK. Okay, one of the little TKs or one of the bigger ones.
The Scout. It's just the smaller one. So the Scout. Yeah.
Okay.
This was it $500 or $600.
Yeah.
Yeah. The little TK. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't record audio.
No, but it kind of gives me an idea with the depth. They're good for about 100 yards or something like that.
See,
So
that's the problem with so many of this equipment. The depth just isn't there. You just can't see as far as you want to.
Right.
Unless you pay about $1,000 or 20.
The unocular that you have is really good though, but that's not thermal.
No.
Yeah.
But I know you guys are getting ready to close the show. Is there any other questions? Are there?
Yes. So what is your favorite piece of equipment to use when you're out in the woods?
By far, it was definitely the FLIR until I used, oh my gosh, what was it? Jen, do you remember the other one? I know what it is. Hold on.
The one that can see far?
The one that,
The one with the strange lights, that one?
No, I can't remember what I'm thinking of. It's the one you hold and point at directions.
Okay, so it's a there's
Seek?
a FLIR.
Yes, the Seek.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen. She's my brain. She remembers everything. I love it.
So where would be your key place to go investigate? I see you guys have been across the country. You've got some festivals coming up. So what's on your bucket list to go research?
Bucket list or our favorite?
Well, your favorite, your bucket. Where do you want to get to?
Personally, I like to stay in northern Minnesota. It's an amazing location. The energy is amazing. There are Native American Native American tribes around there. It's just amazing. Jen?
My reservation is my favorite place to go because we have so much luck finding things there. That's where we find the den-like stick structures that are huge, which is what ended up being where that area where I was seeing Bigfoot evidence we could collect was a humongous den-like stick structure that Jena went inside, and there was rocks being thrown at us while we were back there. And
you have photos up of those on your Facebook page, and I put the Facebook page into the chat so folks can take a look at that.
Yeah, they would be way back.
Can I just answer Blue Dasky? He said, is there any wind? I don't think we actually talked about the wind, but no, there wasn't any wind up there. Even though it was at the top of the mountain, I think we were completely isolated with all the trees surrounding us, so that wind just wasn't getting in there. So no, there was no wind. Sorry.
Okay. So Jen, you're there, you're on the tribal lands. Are you getting a lot from your elders of stories? Are you comparing those to other cryptids or other historical movement in the area?
There's a lot of stories about Bigfoot being our older brother, and who they actually talk about how Bigfoot said he'll always be near the people and looking out for us to guide us and to help us. And Bigfoot actually represents one of the 7 sacred teachings of the grandfathers, which is kind of like the 10 commandments for the Christians. And so Bigfoot represents honesty because he lives the most honest life.
Isn't that beautiful?
And
I've never heard that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So I get to hear stories like that, and the stories from the different tribal people. There's a lot of different Native Americans in the Midwest that I get to talk to about that. And my reservation is such a very large reservation. It's very unpopulated and very natural. And the tribal DNR actually runs into these den-like stick structures all the time, and they know what's building them, and so they just back away. They don't mess with it at all. And the Native people there, they don't report Bigfoot sightings to like the BFRO or things like that because they take it as a personal message to them. So they go talk to their spiritual advisor. What does it mean? I saw Bigfoot. I had this experience. And what does it mean to me in my life? And so that's what it means to them. It's very personal. And so the reports don't get logged onto the BFRO,
Well, I know there's a lot of stuff that's on the BFRO that people don't even see that unless you're a BFRO investigator. Now, you brought up the little people. Do you run into a lot of that historical data when you're talking to folks, when you guys are out traveling? Are you getting that at different conferences?
I'm definitely hearing that from the Native people when I've talked with them. I've actually seen little people on the reservation. Jena has too.
Mm-hmm.
She was very surprised.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was very,
are you
very
talking the 3-footers or even the smaller?
Oh no!
I've seen multiple different kinds. The ones that look like Bigfoot that are only like 3 feet tall, they're the Dakota natives call them Chahotinas, and it's actually spelled Canotina, Canotina, and they're the little people of the woodland trees, and they look like Bigfoot, but they're full grown at 3 feet. And they say that Bigfoot is usually always near them, but they are definitely not juvenile Bigfoots. They are full grown little people.
Wow.
And then there's little people that look more like goblins. And there's little people that just look like people. And there's little people that look like gnomes. And I mean, we've seen different things like that. And at my elder's sweat lodge area, he has an outdoor classroom. I actually was at one of his outdoor classes one day, and I looked at a tree that was there, and I was like, when did that happen? Somebody carved little faces into the bottom of the tree. There was 5 little faces about the size of a softball, each face, and they were all just like joyous little happy faces. And I was like, who did that? Who carved that into the bottom of that tree? And I'm looking at it, and I knew that I felt like there's something up with that. So I waited till he stopped talking, and I didn't take my eyes off of it. And I walked to him, and I pointed at that tree, and I said, what do you see at the base of that tree right there? What is it that you see when you look at that? And he said, oh, those are the little people. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I said, did somebody carve that in there? He said, no, it's not carved there. They're just standing there blending their energy with the trees. So they're hiding.
Wow.
Most people can't see them. They just look like part of the tree, but I guess you're seeing them.
Right.
But they look like somebody had carved these faces into the bottom of the tree. He says, they're just there helping me with the class, and they won't be there later. And so then we broke for lunch, and I took my eyes off it. And when I looked back, they were gone. It looked like a regular tree again.
So quick question then. Bigfoot, little people, just yes or no? Interdimensional or no, do you think?
The little people definitely have the ability to do things, to change, whether that's changing their energy level into a frequency that is outside of human consciousness. I think that's probably more possible than.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Totally. What do you think, Jen? Because I totally think that there's way more to this than. So what do you think, Jen? Jenna, sorry.
Oh no, I thought you were asking her again. No,
yeah.
No.
You get a turn, I promise.
No, that's okay. She's fabulous at speaking. I'm always like, yeah, you, Jen. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm more of the entertainment. Anyway, I really agree with Jen. I really think that Jen has something going on with everything she's thinking and her thoughts about the puck. Oh, in fact, puck wedgies. Someone had just asked about puck wedgies. Yep. Yeah. Any run-ins with the puck wedgies. But
yep.
Yeah. So what about Bigfoot? Do you think Bigfoot is?
Me? I know. Right now, all I know is from what I've experienced, Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature. I think they're a lot like the Native Americans as far as living in tribes and things like that. Did I say that right? Am I saying it wrong, Jen? Okay, because I never know if I'm saying this stuff wrong. But no, I just think they're in their own small tribes, and they send away for women and men travel, and so there's no.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. So we could reverse this like this today. It's not going to work, and it's the exact same thing that we always say. So
what?
He's being an ass. It's fine.
Oh, because I'm the flesh and blood guy. She's the interdimensional. That's what I'm saying.
But see, I think, as I say, like, okay, Jen and I can do what we do. Why couldn't Bigfoot? We're flesh and blood. I'm not necessarily saying they are or they're not. I have not come to a conclusion on that yet. But if they are, why can't they do what we do? Yeah. Why can't they project? Why can't they view and still be flesh and blood? So, but
that's my whole. This is what I tell other people: is the fact that we as human beings can do so much with what we are given as far as gifts. If we have all that clutter in our minds, and they have no clutter, think of what they can do. But right now, flesh and blood for me all the way.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
The native elders tell me that Bigfoot can move from one place to another, physical travel through the ground instantaneously. Now, that's not very much different than traveling through a portal now, is it? And so when I had sent you the pictures in our Facebook chat, I sent you a picture of a petroglyph of a portal, which is circles within circles drawn into the stone.
Yep.
But then I sent you 3 pictures of the woods that are taken like in order. And if you look at the woods, it actually looks like circles within circles in the trees.
Bringing it back up now.
And so that was actually when I returned back to that spot where we had something walking towards us and the rocks being thrown at us in the night in that thermal. That very first time I was out, we went back the next day going to look for footprints. And the girls that I went with didn't want to be out there. They were scared. And so they actually wouldn't. I mean, they drove out there, they did a Facebook Live, and then they left. And,
so this is
that
the portal.
Left me there alone. Yep, that's a petroglyph of which is an ancient rock carving from the native people. That would be what they represent as a portal. Okay, circles within circles. Okay, if you go to the next one, that is actually where the sound was started coming from, where it was walking towards us, and you can kind of see there's an X with the sticks, and right underneath I was seeing like a lit up pathway to walk underneath the sticks where the X and to keep going past that. But if you look past that, you can see into the woods.
Hey,
look at that.
Hey, there we go. Why did that bounce all the way? That was weird. All right,
you can literally see in the woods, you can see the circles within circles within circles in the woods.
Very cool.
And if you're really into like seeing extra things, just focus on the bottoms of those pictures a little bit.
So I know we're right here at the end, but how do you decide that X is an actual X and not just tree blowover?
Because I was seeing, sometimes I see
Facebook's
energy. Sometimes I see energy, and what I was seeing was a golden light path to walk this path, and I was seeing it go right underneath that X, and I saw it as an X, but that's where the path was. It went right underneath that, and
so you were using your gifts.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's using her gifts, and she's using physical beings around her. The physical things. That's
Okay.
That's what happens with me. It's almost like you can't even help it, but then you have someone like Mike who it's just very black and white. This is what's in front of me. A lot of investigators. Yeah.
It's called
you two oddballs.
Yeah, prove it.
Which is not a bad thing. We have to do that regardless, right? So that's important.
My Reiki students will sometimes spontaneously start seeing auras on people, and then they call. They're like, Jen, help me! All these people have these dancing lights, colored lights on them. I'm like, that's their aura.
That's awesome.
I would love to see auras. That's one thing that I can't do.
I don't either. Only in certain situations, otherwise I don't see those.
I have to look hard to see it a lot of the times, but sometimes I'll just spontaneously see it on somebody. And one time this girl was in a hot tub with me, this little girl, and she went to move towards me really quick. And all of a sudden I saw her outer aura, and it was so close to me that I jumped back.
I believe it. Wow. Well, this was so interesting, girls. Thank you so much. This is really fun. I love the perspectives. I love the different approaches. I just love the whole. It's nothing. We have not had anyone on that has approached this in any way like this yet. So this has been good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Right, Michael, you're right again.
Okay, watch. Look, it'll change. See, it gets better, it gets worse, it gets better.
No, he was really red a second ago. I don't know.
There
it is.
I think he's right. It's the light.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. This time.
You always try to get me on the thing, but it's not. I mean, see, there.
Don't make us actually turn you red again.
You can try. It doesn't work. But I do appreciate you ladies coming on and helping us out tonight and understand from your side. So thank you to the audience for the questions.
Yes.
There are definitely some different setups. I know there's a very skeptical scientist in the chat tonight, and you got him thinking because my phone's getting blown up on this side.
Wonderful.
And, he's been looking at portal stuff all day from NASA, so we got him spinning the whole other way. Oh yeah, it's a whole nother.
Yeah. You're gonna hook us up. You're gonna hook us up.
He's always around. Yeah, he's one of my team. So I don't know who's reaching out from WLFE. I don't know if anybody can who that person is tonight from our network. But I had a question. Teddy was on his own, so I don't know who it is. So you had a question about Whitehall. If you can dump it in there, exactly what you're asking about Whitehall, because Whitehall is a great place. Have any of you people been to Whitehall?
Oh,
no. All right, got to go. Sasquatch calling contest in September. We'll be there. A whole bunch of us, the crazy people that are in this movie. So, so thank you.
All right.
And we appreciate everything.
Yes, thank you.
If you want to hang out for a second or two after we get off. It is Teddy. Well, he switches on me.
I know he does.
and Mary Grace said, "Thank you for giving a new perspective to women's researchers."
Yes.
And she's actually had some things close by, really close by, like the other side of the street. So.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. We look forward. Hopefully you'll be able to come on with us again. We'd love to have you.
Definitely.
Obviously, you have a lot to share.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't even get the tip of the iceberg.
I believe it. I believe it.
Sometimes it's just fun to hang out. So I think that's what this was all about tonight. So it's fun.
That's great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Yep. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Awesome.
Great show. A lot of laughs. For you folks that are, had to tune in early or late or whatever, please go. You can go over to Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, and 25 other different locations and listen to that replay. YouTube, that video is there. So, the one or two times that I had that goofy face, you can find it. You can find Kristen beating me up for forgetting her birthday last week. Anyway,
I have to give a quick happy birthday shout out to my cousin Johnny, who's in the chat tonight. Happy birthday, Johnny! Love you. So next week, Spirit Messages.
Yes.
So we have a reading show, and then the following week is special. We're gonna do the show live from I'm Coming to You Out Your Way in Rochester, and we're gonna be on location. We're going to do some readings. It will be a shorter show because then we are going to actually broadcast live and do a live investigation from a very historic place.
Back on a restaurant and hotel that you just thought. So, thank you.
That comes
in this weekend, or keep an eye out this weekend because I hope to be interviewing some of the guys from Small Town Monsters.
Yeah.
And with the premiere this weekend of On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Journey, which will be fully released in June. So we're
and
there.
To support you too. This is your big weekend too. Everybody involved is so awesome.
I don't want to see my they say the camera adds 20 or 10 pounds. This is an 80-foot screen. It's going to be like 3,000 pounds. I'm not looking to see my kidney stones walking.
Listen, dude, if that's the case, I'm in trouble already myself then. Okay, so shut up. We're not going there.
Yeah. All right, folks. Where's my closeout banner? Closeout banner.
All right. So until this weekend and until next Tuesday, stay safe.
And sample on.
Good night, everyone.